the reason why I have 2 martini glasses in all of these isn't just because I really love martinis. But my wife and I, we met over martinis in a sense, right? That was part of it, but the reason why I have them is almost 80% of all these German models, and almost everything in this room is German model, came back from servicemen after they served in 55 to 65. They moved back their furnishings, and they all had stories about what they listened to, and how they used to party in front of them. That was their only entertainment. And while they were serving with their new brides, and they always talked about the wine they drank or whatever. And so instead of wine goblets, I had martini glasses. But that's why you see that, right? So I have in here almost everything that's German made. This is German Kuba, which is an attack on the atomic period, when you go from like this total MCM mid-century look to atomic, which is really kind of stretching the boundaries of design and thought. That kind of gives you 2 different looks.
So what is it about the German makers at that point? To focus on a particular country, obviously that had to be the gold standard, right? Back in the 50s and 60s of these kind of consoles.
Right. Well, and their entertainment was different. Here in the States, in the late 50s, we were big into TV, and everyone started getting a TV set. That wasn't necessarily the case in Europe. And all these radios have shortwave. You're picking up cities and countries. So these weren't even really used for AMF, they were used for shortwaves, right? And this 1939 Italian console has nothing but all the cities in Italy and Europe to be able to pull them up. And so it was their big, they could pull up a polka in Poland, which is like 2 states away, you know, in our world, right? And that's how they danced through the night. This is what they did.
That's tremendous.
And as I'm discovering consoles over the years, I got more and more enamored in the last 18 months just over the German stuff.
Now, is there a major German manufacturer that's the Rolls-Royce or Cadillac of German?
Well, so there's BMW, Audi, and Mercedes. There's what's called Grundig and Telefunken and Blaupunk, and those are probably 3 of the higher end. And then Kuba's another one too. So there's probably 5 or 6 German brands that you can put neck to neck and say they're all high-end luxury.
And some of those are still around today.
Of course, Blaupunk certainly is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what you see in here is mostly that. I mean, I have this one I just picked up from Canada. That's the most expensive console I've bought yet. But I really wanted that. I mean, it's so unique to everything else you see here. And that's from 1967 Montreal Expo, right? And my dad was there as an IBMer. The guy that designed this really wanted this to have a modem and a ticker tape. And just rolled that desk. So when I found this online, I remember I was 7. I went to Expo 67. We drove up from New York, and my dad was working with the guy in their booth display. They were able to pull that kind of thing off. For the Common Man in 1967, they weren't. But that's my background story. When we talk about IBM, I remember this.
So with the ticker tape and everything, it's literally an all-in-one entertainment new. I mean, that's part of the design, right? You can use that way, the ticker tape, whatever.
That's what Electrohome was trying to do, was this all-in-one. And if there were microwaves back then, I would probably put one in on that as well. So that just kind of gives you, and this is a great, beautiful, powerful. I remember growing up. I know there's like this band. It's the Joey song, how can you plan that? Thanks, Pat Gallagher.
Bombs at Wayne and many others.
I'm going to let it play for a second. This is great. So the difference, man, is doing something here.
Plus, special appearance by Charlie Burns of the Manitowoc Minute. Tickets are on sale now. Get yours at joeysorn.org or soon. Fighting epilepsy with music. It's Joey Sorn.
I can't beat that. Holy cow.
You know,
the rest of our timing goes as good as that.
How do they do that?
Yeah.
So, you know, that to me, that's why this piece speaks. But when I was selling these last summer, it was a matter about connecting people into music and making them one console. And now all of a sudden I got 30 in this room, and someone walks in, I have to apologize to them because your head has to spin. You come here looking for a console, how do you choose?
Right.
And I just tell people, let it speak to you, because I can make it sound any which way. Just let the aesthetic speak to you and move on.
You know, it's so amazing the trend of stuff too, right? Because when you and I are together, the same vintage growing up. You wanted your component system, and you put in your tape deck, and you get the stuff and all that other stuff. And everything has kind of shrunk and shrunk and shrunk, and now the pendulum is swinging back towards, now it becomes the focal point of the living room,
right.
or the kind of stuff. That's amazing.
Well, I joke about the people that buy these from me are the generation of earbud babies, right?
Yeah,
they just earbuds into their iPhone. They got perfect streaming digital music, great. But now they're back home, and how do they want that to look?
Yeah.
And there's a unit back there in the corner under those stars that has components, that has Kenwood components in there. The guy built this cabinet to not mock, but be an encomium to mid-century. And you and I grew up. We wanted that Pioneer or Ranch or Kenwood.
Those were the names. Yep.
That's exactly right.
You'd save up and you'd get your really good tuner with the crappy tape deck or whatever it is, and you'd save up for the good tape, and you just keep rotating. Yeah.
Well, then you bring up the whole thing about media, right? So you and I grew up where vinyl was it,
that was
right?
it.
And then we went to 8-track, we
Eight-track.
jumped right over cassette to CDs, and now we're back into vinyl. And I'm sure you gave away all your vinyl. I gave away all my vinyl and my turntable and my components years ago.
Yeah.
And to me, this is the perfect storm where mid-century's hot again and vinyl's screaming hot.
Oh, yeah.
Vinyl sales is through the roof.
They can't keep up. We're trying to get vinyl for the benefit.
Right.
My artists can't get copies of their own stuff on vinyl. That's how behind everything is. Yeah. So when the artists can't get their vinyl, then it's an uphill battle.
Well, it is, and the same thing for turntables. I bought 10 this week, 10 for next week. I mean, you saw the 28 consoles they have to go out. They all need new turntables, and those are getting more and more back ordered. I just sent my wife to Best Buy to pick up 2 turntables from Audio Technica. So I'm doing whatever I can to just keep up with the demand of, turntables are getting really hard to come around.
I want you to call me though when the 8-track players are the hot model to put back in. That was always the great part. I remember when the 8-track player, and it always would cut in the middle of a song because you had exactly whatever it was on each side. And you always knew where it was coming, and you'd have to wait for that. And then the song would pick back up on Kiss Alive 1 or whatever you were listening to.
I got a box of them, but I don't have a single working 8-track player yet. I'm with you on that one.
I remember that. Yeah, that's great. That's so much fun just to look at this stuff and all the memories.
Right. Well, cool.
All right.
We'll move